Greetings. I am Kim Hummer, the Specialty Crop Curator for the USDA-ARS National Clonal Germplasm Repository in Corvallis, Oregon. Today, I'm going to talk about how to add a PI number in GRIN for the NCGR Corvallis data. I'm going to use an example of hazelnut. PI number assignment is critical in GRIN. New accessions are assigned a PI number when we know this germplasm will be a long-term accession. Some examples include seedling trees that were germinated for us that represent unique clonal germplasm. Or it could be a heritage blueberry plant that we want to keep and incorporate into our permanent collection. Other examples of new accessions include heritage clones or public domain cultivars of assigned genera, wild collected seed lots from plant collecting expeditions, or plants with unique identifiers, selections that were donated from a breeding program, and these were accepted by the curator, so they should be treated as clones with separate PI numbers. Some examples include OSU hazelnut tree selection numbers, Washington State University berries or tree fruits, MDUS selection numbers, ORUS selection numbers, hop accessions with cultivar names or US breeding numbers, or mint accessions with cultivar names or breeding numbers. Before you begin this process, you must have the following information: names, including the next unused local number, other numbers that are associated, and the name that will become the primary identifier. You need source information, including the donor, the name, the address, the date, the origin of the plant material, whether it's wild or cultivated, was it a collector or a breeder that donated it to us, the institute, coordinates, habitat, locality information. Each of those pieces of information is key in the information on the plant material that will be put into GRIN. I would like to mention that how to get the next unused local number is going to be discussed in a separate learning module. In this case, new hazelnut trees have been donated to our collection. We'll give an example where some of these clones were grouped together in one PI number, and we need to separate each of these so that each tree can have a separate accession or PI number. For this example, Oregon State University Hazelnut Breeding Program donated seedling trees that each needed their own number. Their primary name, what we're going to be using as the primary identifier, will be the OSU breeding number. That is OSU 567.004 and on down. These are just examples that we'll talk about here. If you'll note, there was a PI number 665927 of Corylus chinensis. And in this case, there are 4 OSU selection numbers for this one PI accession. These 4 seedlings have been evaluated as clones, and each of them need their own PI number for our long-term maintenance. The lower 3 of these clones will need to be assigned new PI numbers and C local numbers to keep track of their evaluation data. So what's wrong with this picture? This particular PI number, you'll notice, has 5 different items that are listed as primary identifiers. A 1 in the name rank column means that that's a primary identifier. GRIN can only recognize one entry with the name rank of 1. The other names won't appear on any inventory sheet. If each name is linked to a clone and that clone is significant, this name needs its own PI number. So that's what we're going to set about to do in a few minutes is transfer these other names to their own PI number. To add a new accession to GRIN, we go to the accession page in GRIN and click on the accession table. That is this tab right up here. Next, we click on Edit, and then we click on the yellow plus arrow at the bottom of the page. A new line containing blue and pink cells appears. As you fill in the pink cells, they turn blue. In this case, we're going to enter the PI and in the accession prefix cell and -1 into the accession number cell. We'll use the pull-down menu to select the species name. Now this lower bar needs to be slid to the right so that you can edit the variables that appear on the right side of the screen. We need to add the life form, the level of improvement, the reproductive uniformity, and other details over here on the right. So now we've entered that information and we've even edited one cell that was there previously. When you edit a piece of information that was there before, GRIN turns the cell yellow. Now that we've entered all that data, we're going to press Save Data. If everything is good, GRIN will respond with, "You have added one new record. Do you want to save it? Press yes if everything is okay." When you save that record, GRIN will assign a new PI number. The PI number will appear in the accession number where you put the -1 originally. Since we have multiple seedlings that need PI numbers, do this procedure for one seedling at a time. Take care to get your information correctly entered into each variable. Look back and edit if you need to change any data before going on to the next step. Next, we add the new PI numbers one at a time using that procedure for each of the selection numbers that need a new PI number. This example has 9 additional seedlings that need to be given new PI numbers. Now we need to assign names and other information to these new PI numbers. You can see that no names appear here. These need to be filled in separately. Highlight the accession that you want to work on. So let's work on this second line down. Then click on the accession wizard, this tab in the upper part of the screen. The accession wizard is really useful. It's a quick way to add names, source information, pedigree information, and other information. We'll begin by clicking on the name tab at the top. The names to add for this example is the primary identifier, which is the OSU selection number, OSU 529.008. The next available local number is CCOR 1080. And as I mentioned before, we'll have another learning module on how to find the next unused local number. The primary identifier, we need to click on New Name to add a row. Once again, it'll be blue and pink, and it will change to blue as you add information. So we'll add the name, the category, the name rank, the name group, cooperator, and if you want, you can add a note. For example, in this case, the OSU hazelnut breeding program is a source for that plant material. Each accession should have a primary identifier. That means the name rank of 1 and our local number. There could be other numbers to add as well. So here we're going to add the secondary identifier, our local number, which is CCOR 1080. And in this case, we gave it a higher name rank. It's a secondary identifier and it's local. If we wanted to add a second inventory identifier, we could click on New Name once again. A new line will pop up and we need to fill it in. So we add the new name that we wanted to add, C. chinensis, Leoning number 2. It's a site identifier and we're giving it the name rank of 2. And it's an other number, other num. Next, we'll add source information. In this case, there are multiple sources for this accession. There's an origin source and a donor source. We click on the new name, new source information, and a line pops up that we fill in with collection source, the date, the country. In this case, it was collected from the wild, so we have the elevation, we have the latitude and longitude, and we enter all this data. Secondly, there was the donor, the country of origin and the date are critical. Secondly, we have donor information in this because the seedling was germinated by the Oregon State University hazelnut breeding program. So that was our donor source. And the donor country and date are critical as well. So in summary, adding new accession numbers, you must have the following information: the name information, including local number, other numbers, and primary identifier, source information, origin information, and thus far, we've only added the basic information for the accession record. The next module will address additional information that must be uploaded for the accession to make it complete, but this is the basic information for adding a new accession number. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again at the next session.